Snapey here, another Paladins gameplay video, and we got more Viktor. And one of the things I noticed in this gameplay, as well as the previous video when I played Viktor, is how I did not use I guess the iron sight. I didn't even, I'm not sure if I ever scoped in, and in watching this gameplay, I'm not quite sure why I was doing that. I think because I thought it would hinder my aim. It's actually more accurate, or I guess I didn't think that using it would make that much of a difference. But after watching this video and the previous video, but before doing the commentary, I actually went back and watched a oh yeah, that was bad, by the way. I'm not sure what I was trying to, I think I was trying to get the healer, but it just didn't happen. But actually, I went back and I just played one match where I just used the iron sight to scope in, basically. And it was amazing, the accuracy on Viktor. And I feel so dumb for these weeks and all the games I did play as Viktor not using the scope. And again, it seems so obvious now, but I guess I was just used to weapons that didn't, like, the accuracy didn't fall off, so without sort of bullet spread, and so anyway, I think making this small little adjustment will actually, well, obviously make me a lot better Viktor. But I think in just trying to figure out the aiming for some of these champions, if I take the time to actually aim a little bit, and it's not really a practice thing where I need to go to the practice range and work on accuracy. Obviously, that's just going to improve over time with, just playing it and just working on my tracking. But I really think that figuring out how to move the crosshair for certain champions, and I think that's different from aiming, because aiming, I think, is just tracking, but how to move, I think that's like mouse. I think there's a difference between aim and how to control where and how the champion is, or where they're looking at. And maybe it's the same thing, aim, but the thing that I'm sort of talking about is not really mouse movement with the intent to hit a particular target. It's just to be able to deploy the weapon in what I think is the best possible way. So, for example, utilizing all the tools that are available for me as the player to assist in hitting my target. And that has nothing to do with aiming, because my aiming is, I think, okay in general. It's probably pretty average, or maybe even below average. But just making sure that I'm aiming or looking the right way, whatever that means. So I think that's one of the things I'm going to start to try and do. Is there are certain champions that I'm not very familiar with. So one like Maldamba, for example, I know he has sort of this arc, and he's sort of limited by range, and to be able to understand that range and to be able to know kind of where I should be aiming at for certain shots, especially the stun snake, I think is really important to do. But I think just exploring and trying to figure out those things would probably make me an overall better player. But yeah, it's so unusual that for the first, I don't know, few weeks, or really, I guess, until this past week, have not used the scope, the sight on Viktor. I just use him like he has some kind of Tommy gun and just spraying, and hopefully I'm doing damage. But in fact, you can get really high accuracy by just peeking into the sights and just destroying them and just doing a ton of damage. And so that's one thing I'll be working on. In this game, this was fairly early on in me playing, and win sort of just came mostly because I had picked Makoa, and I really hadn't had a lot of success with Viktor. And so I thought, oh, well, you know, if I want to get the wins and I guess the gold, I better play Makoa and forget about playing Viktor, forget about playing, you know, all these other champions that I thought might be kind of fun or interesting. But again, like, I'm starting to learn that it's not just about winning, it's not just about getting all the gold and having a good record, because if I just played one champion the whole time, that doesn't make me any better. By the way, I don't know how that killed him. He was like clearly behind the wall. But it doesn't make me a better player. You know, I have to lose in order to learn. And I think that's everyone, because if someone were to play this game and never lose, right? They would definitely probably feel great. But it's very difficult to learn what doesn't work, and I think that's almost as important as learning what does work. So with Viktor, I obviously I need to know that, oh yeah, I need to use my sight, and that I can be somewhat aggressive because he is fairly tanky, but I need to make sure that I am moving because his run is very unique in this game, in the sense that it's movement that has no cooldown. So that's really, really nice to have. By the way, I was still trying to figure out how to use Viktor's ultimate this time, so which is why I'm not sure why it never went off. But again, still learning and still trying to just get a sense of who does what. Torvald, by the way, in this match was just crazy powerful. His shield was so much, like, it was so much to deal with that I'm glad that we had players that knew what they were doing. I think the Fernando kind of knew what he was doing. They could kind of sort of tank each other up, and we can just sort of fall in and support. But yeah, I just remember this guy had so much health, I didn't know what to do, and I was just spraying, obviously missing. I'd be very curious to know how my accuracy was, by the way. I know they don't keep track of that, but yeah, just the accuracy must have just been terrible. But we actually do end up winning, which is amazing. Again, at a time when I was just winning with Makoa. So anyway, yeah, use the iron sight. Got it. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you next time.